Okay, everybody. We've done away with the British accents. We are now going full MAGA every podcast. We can't wait until President Trump is in this country and he takes it over. Please come and invade us. What do you think?
We need a good Trump. Said it for years.
Indeed. Mark?
It'd be nice, but I think we need to fix this ourselves.
You reckon? We're going to need help, kiddo.
Look, they've got their own fight.
They're all right.
We can't be relying on other people. We need to fix this. No one's coming to save us, you know.
They are.
They're not.
They are. They are, they are, they are, they are. Don't be childish about it. They are, they are, they are, they are. All right. Honestly, can't get a word in edgeways with you, Trevor.
Shh.
Anyway, we are talking about a different type of invasion this evening. And we're going to be focusing in on that wonderful place called Altrincham in Cheshire. Yes.
Ooh, the posh place.
The posh place.
Yes.
Indeed.
I actually know where the hotel is. I got invited to a breakfast meeting there one day.
Did you?
He won't be anymore.
No.
No, it was a big business debacle, and I got invited to a breakfast meeting by a businessman. I said, "Oh, that's all right, financial advisor." I said, "Yeah, it sounds all right. What time did it start?" He said, 5:30. I said, "What?
In the morning?"
Till 3? Not much chance of me getting there for 5:30.
So that was it then?
That was it. I didn't go. No.
No more?
But it's a massive, big, posh place, right on the just off the town centre for anybody that knows Altrincham. Well, they'll know the Cresta if they know Altrincham, and it's a massive, prestigious hotel.
Well,
It's just been closed down.
Mark, fill us in with some of the details here. We believe, just as a fundamental point, we have 300 or so asylum seekers who have now found lodgings at the Cresta Hotel.
Correct.
Go ahead.
And it is an affluent area. It's the average house price is nearly 560,000. So I think they've chosen this one specifically for a reason.
What, to make a point?
Yeah. I think there's going to be a few people annoyed. There's been protests. About 30 people have been protesting. Another 175 were at a meeting to oppose the move. The locals are saying that they knew nothing about this. So it looks like the Labour government are taking a leaf out of the Irish's book and they are sneaking them in undercover en masse. It's not a few, that's 300. And apparently they're all males.
Wow. No women.
So,
no women or children.
no women and children, apparently. The Altrincham and Sale West MP, Conor Rand, claims that he's been assured that background checks have been done.
Oh, yeah.
How can he qualify that when you hear about so many stories about them just throwing their paperwork away as they're coming over on the boats?
Well, that's the thing, John. They're not shy about telling us our tactics. There's video after video, isn't there, on TikTok and stuff saying how they do it. So I'm going to call total bollocks on that one, I'm afraid. Do you know what I think what we need to do? I think someone needs to be held responsible. Well, good luck with that. But when something goes wrong, so if this certain MP is given assurances, then either him or whoever gave him the assurances should be held accountable if something goes wrong. And guaranteed it will.
Yeah.
And you know, the beauty of this as well is they all voted Labour in Altrincham and Sale. They voted for Labour. They've got a Labour MP.
Got a Labour MP, yeah.
So, be very, very careful what you vote for or what you wish for. And also, you've got just around from there, it's actually at the side of Woodland Park Road. I do a lot of work around there, Altrincham area. And you've also got there's a girls' school which is round there.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And I'm talking, I'd say, from there, probably 1/4 mile walk, if that.
Right.
And that's a exclusive girls' school, that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is literally 1/4 mile from there.
Hey, have you ever heard of a real life writer? Because I read this, the story in the Manchester News, and I was like, what is a real life writer? So this story is from Paige Oldfield.
Right, you're on about who wrote it.
Yeah.
I was wondering why. I said I've read that story. I don't remember that now. I've just looked at it. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what's a real life writer? I mean, especially when they're talking, and they're actually talking about a whole load of far right riots. And I was thinking, how do they know that they were far right? They said within the story, and we're talking about in Southport, there was a wave of far right riots over the summer at asylum seeker hotels across the country, has further stoked division and distrust among communities.
They just throw it in. They're just throwing it in as a smear.
I've got a funny feeling that this writer is a local democracy reporter or connected to the BBC.
Paige Oldfield is a real-life writer at the Manchester Evening News. She joined the team in 2020, having previously worked in newsrooms across Derbyshire. So she's a journalist, yeah?
Yeah, what newsrooms? I mean, I bet you it's got, I would say, well, I stand corrected if anybody wants to say it, but my guess is newsrooms, I don't know. That could be anything. It could be broadcast newsrooms. It could be anything.
What she's doing there is the left's old trick of guilt by association. So there's some people protesting outside the hotel. She hasn't indirectly called them far right, but that's what she means.
Yeah, it's the implication.
So it's the warning. It's there. You're already you're labelled. Oh, you're Nazis. Don't stand outside that hotel. Just because some people attack the hotel in another town doesn't mean that these protesters are going to do the same thing.
Well, Trafford's Conservative group leader, Councillor Nathan Evans, has launched a petition against what he describes, and I'm reading from the story, directly quoting, as the influx of migrants. The petition describes the use of the hotel as unacceptable and has raised concerns about the economic impact of the loss of guests on local businesses. Now, is the Home Office going to be compensating those people? Because that's who... And
this is a Conservative MP from Trafford.
This is, the Conservative MP. Trafford's Conservative group leader, Councillor Nathan Evans.
Sorry, council leader, sorry.
Yeah.
Group, yeah. So it's a Conservative.
Yeah.
Calling Labour for putting them in hotels.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, that, isn't it? That you couldn't write that, could you?
No. As I was talking to somebody today, I turned around and I said, there are times when George Galloway has some pearlers when he described Labour and the Conservatives as two cheeks of the same arse.
He's right, though, John. These people have got a damn cheek here. They've opened the floodgates and stuck them all in hotels. All right, Labour have lied again and said, we won't be doing this anymore. And then under cover of darkness, sneak 300 in. But it was the fake Conservatives who started it. They've got such I knew they'd do this, We're still here now with Labour blaming the Conservatives for financial things, the Conservatives blaming Labour for immigration. And they're all to blame because they're all a joke. Since 1991, right, I think the English were like a proper majority. Like there was a tiny, tiny amount of foreign nationals in the country. Now it's 25%. So within 30 years between these two, they've trashed the country. And they're just going to carry on blaming each other. This is why no one can vote for these ever again. No, and if you do, you're responsible for the downfall of this country. I'm sorry, but it's all on you. You're to blame for the poor being poorer while we siphon off money everywhere, which we'll come to on the next story. You're responsible for the erosion and erasure of our culture and our history and our people eventually.
That's what Trump was going about in America. He said that he's accusing the Democrats. He said, never mind about warring countries. He said, the war is taking place here in our own country. And that's actually true of what's happening here in this country. We're at war with a government, basically, who are not listening to the people. And it's a war of words, hurty words. More people are being thrown in prison.
Yeah, but John, not only they're not listening. They know exactly what we're saying. They're listening. They're just doing the total opposite. And now they're being conniving and scheming in the background and sneaking these people in. This is what happened in Ireland, and it did not go down well because people were waking up the next day and there's 300, men from another continent in your little small village.
Yeah. And
it's not on this.
I can't understand why a Home Office spokesman would say this. I mean, the whole of the story that this woman has written is very sympathetic to these asylum seekers. She's giving examples of the terrible journeys that they've had to take in order to get to this country. And now they're very, very happy. They think the people are lovely and all the rest of that stuff. Well, hell, what about the homeless in Altrincham? What about the veterans in Altrincham? They're not getting access to a hotel of that caliber. They're not getting that. And this is what the Home Office spokesperson said. The government inherited an asylum system under unprecedented strain, with thousands stuck in a backlog without their claims processed. We have taken immediate action to restart asylum processing, which will save an estimated $7 billion for the taxpayer over the next 10 years. Now, note, 10 years.
Weasel words.
And are delivering a major uplift in returns to remove people with no right to be in the UK. Well, anybody that enters the UK illegally has no right to be in the UK under our own laws. And they continue, just to finish the one sentence, over the long term, this will reduce our reliance on hotels and costs of accommodation. We remain absolutely committed to ending the use of hotels for asylum seekers and continue to identify a range of accommodation options to minimize their use. Now, that doesn't give me any kind of inspiration whatsoever. This situation is just going to continue. Go ahead, Mark. I give way to you.
I think she's given an example. I'm trying to find it, but these websites just pop up loads of crap all over them. You can't read it. It's frustrating. I think one of them's made the journey from a country in Africa and gone through every country in Africa and then every country in Europe and then decided to turn up here.
Yeah.
So that's not the first safe country, is it? Why do we have to be the place that looks after everyone? Why aren't the surrounding countries doing their fair share? No, it's just these people don't want to live in them.
Well, I think the benefit system in this country will have something to do with it. And the fact that, to them, the UK is El Dorado to everyone except its own people.
You know that bit you just discussed before, Trevor, where they mentioned the riots? They just randomly threw that into this article in between these examples of these people coming over. And
a wave of far right.
And they put that in, and then they moved on to after those sob stories, they've moved on then to the people who were not so happy about it. But before they've done that, they've put that wave of far right to smear these people before they've even given their legitimate concerns. These, honestly, journalists, now these people are disgusting.
They're not journalists.
Traitors.
They're not journalists. They are just taking missives from the government, manipulating them, and then taking bits and pieces out and weaving a story to follow the government narrative. That's what they're doing. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, I saw a video of this meeting, one of the meetings in the church where the police were there and the residents were raising concern that, their children want to go to town. Now, their young ladies going to town for a night out and things like that, and they're not going to be safe. And this police officer said, well, we've had people in a place in Trafford and there's been no incidents whatsoever. And we can't lock people up. We can't curfew them because they haven't committed any crimes. So, there's nothing we can do because we've got no reason. We can't just lock them up.
I wouldn't trust the police
No,
right
I wouldn't
now.
trust them if I can throw them.
That's it. I mean, they have just shown themselves up time and time again to be incompetent.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sorry, but we're back to square one again. Well, no, we're not going to do anything until somebody is attacked.
See, that's the thing with the police. I kind of feel sympathy with them on this one because they can't just go and arrest a load of asylum seekers or refugees or whatever the hell you want to call them, right?
Well, they could make their presence
nothing.
very well known, couldn't they?
They could, but they can't just arrest them for nothing. It's the government who are letting them come into this country who are ultimately to blame for this.
Yeah, but they're not arresting them for nothing. If they've come into this country on a dinghy, they've come in illegally. If they haven't got any papers on them, that is illegal.
Yep.
So what you should do is detain them.
Get rid of them.
That should be the police force in whatever county they come across the channel into, which is normally Dover.
We know
isn't
to
it?
say get rid of them, but even at an absolute minimum, when this cop is saying, well, they haven't done anything. Well, one, you don't know they haven't done anything because you haven't got any paperwork, right? And number two, if they've come into the country with no paperwork or anything, I am looking at the minute at moving abroad in different areas. I cannot enter any of those countries without visas. I can go on a 90-day visit, but I'm still absolutely vetted 100% before I go into any country.
Yeah.
But they're coming over here. They're coming on a dinghy or whatever, however they get in here, the back of a wagon or whatever. But they, if they are illegal, should be detained.
Mark.
2 things. A boat was returned to France, so that's possible. And do you remember the migrant who threatened Farage? Well, he was arrested as soon as he entered the country.
Unbelievable.
And detained. So, okay, they knew he was going to be a problem, so they detained him. But the rest of the people on that boat were also committing a crime when they entered the country.
Yeah.
So he should have detained them as well.
See, this is the thing.
But there's too many, isn't there? They can't cope and detain them all. So they're just, right, let some of them go, let some of them go. And then eventually it's like, we've got a backlog, we'll just let them all in. And we get conned again.
Oh, yes. There's no two ways about that.
They have to be detained because you don't know any of the backgrounds.
But there's no space in any of the prisons.
No, I'm not bothered about that. You build another prison, don't
Because we've only got people going in with hurty words.
All I'm hearing is excuses. You don't want excuses. You want solutions. You don't want excuse. I'm not bothered there's no prison places. Well, build another prison. Use somewhere else. Use a barracks. You know, bring the army in. Simple as that. Use old, you know, army barracks or something like that. Use that. They've got to be detained. End of. Finish.
Ideally, they'd be turned back before they've even entered our waters. But I think what we need to do now is start asking for this proof then. So maybe some of our reform MPs can do this because the rest of them just simply aren't asked, are they?
Well, that's interesting.
And say, okay, there's 300 men. I want a list of 300, these 300 men, and I want the background checks, and I want you to show me exactly what you've checked, exactly how you did it, where you did it, and how long it took you, because I'm sorry, but there's no way you're background checking someone from Africa who's thrown his passport in the channel.
And yet...
Not a chance. And even if he had his passport, he's still not going to be able to do it.
Teachers cannot teach in a school without an enhanced DBS certificate. Cleaners need DBS certificates. Cleaners. So you got to ask yourself the question, when an MP turns round and says, well, I've done background checks on them. Oh, what? Did they come in with DBS certificates? They threw away their passports, but they had a DBS certificate in their hands. Yeah,
remember when you had to prove you didn't have a cold to go anywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was all right then, wasn't it, to check everybody in the whole country who had a sniffle of a cough or whatever.
Absolutely.
You can't check if someone's got a criminal record. And just because they haven't got a record or you didn't find their record, still doesn't mean there's not going to be a problem.
Nah, this is by design.
Economy. There's all other problems. It's not just the fact they're going to commit crimes. It's the stress it's putting on the economy, housing, the whole country as a whole, the culture, our replacement.
Yeah.
It's not just about crime.
You're being lied to continually.
Yeah.
You're being lied to.
Well, I actually think that was a fairly decent conversation there. I feel sorry for the people in Altrincham. I feel sorry for people anywhere that are suffering from this.
What about the people in Warrington? We've got 4 of the sodding hotels.
Hey, listen, I wasn't forgetting you, sir.
Gordon Bennett. And I want to find out where that come from as well, Gordon Bennett. And just before we go, I've got a couple of things, actually. I've got an age thing
Go on.
that I want to bring up tonight.
Don't be talking about age, because I'm old. No, actually, you're older than me.
No, I am the master of the house, the senior. And
father of the house.
An age thing. I mean, I tried reading the dictionary in bed last night. No chance. Didn't finish it. I got up to pee. That was that one. I've got a fact as well. I've actually got a fact tonight.
Go on.
A couple of things. Yeah, I've got a fact now. That men think about sex every titty seconds. We think about sex every titty seconds.
Irish accent coming in there.
But the Gordon Bennett thing, I heard this, but I've just looked it up just to make sure, and it's come from a euphemism for God. It derived from the name James Gordon Bennett after some American journalist or something, apparently.
Yes. He was godlike. Anyway. Well,
That would have been more interesting than that, but never mind.
Interesting conversation, gentlemen. And I am using the term loosely where the Gazelle is concerned because he is still a cannibal.
Yes, and I was on about that Gordon Bennett. My granddaughter, who is 9, she walks around the house going, Gordon Bennett. My daughter said to her,
blimey, sir.
said, what are you on about? Why do you keep saying that? I said, well, Granddad says it.
Well, that's all right.
It's a good job that's all she's picked up what Grandad
That
says.
says.
Could be a lot worse, couldn't it?
There you go. There you go.
She could be drinking Peroni.